There is a growing threat to Ethiopian sovereignty. From which side is this threat coming? General Jula, Birhanu Jula, the military chief of the Ethiopian armed forces, spoke about it around 48 hours ago. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for watching. Good to be with you. Your comments are a source of guidance for me. I read your comments. Do express yourself in comment section. There is not a single viewer, not a single individual blocked on my views on news now. Anyone can write comments. Sometimes people get blocked for writing offensive comments. Even those are then unblocked. Right now, when I'm recording this video, there is no one blocked. That is why you're free to express. Just respect others. Just ensure that your comments don't hurt others. Help me improve the reporting and share information. Now, two main news stories. First one is about a threat to Ethiopian sovereignty. Second news story is about growing reach of Eritrea, Eritrean president in a neighboring country. Let's start with this news story. It seems that Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki is expanding his reach in the Horn of Africa. Small country Eritrea, but it has tentacles spread across the Horn of Africa. It has been involved in conflicts. It has been involved in supporting governments, armed groups in the region. So Eritrea keeps itself relevant in the Horn of Africa despite being a small country. A delegation from Sudan visited Eritrea. Delegation from which part of Sudan? Because we know that eastern Sudan shares border with Eritrea, and Eritrea for years has been having influence in eastern Sudan. Tribal elders in eastern Sudan, they are working in collaboration with Eritrean government. Eritrea formed a three-group alliance in eastern Sudan. So Eritrean, when eastern Sudan leaders visit Eritrea, it makes sense. But the delegation which visited Eritrea this week is not from eastern Sudan. It's from Nuba Mountain Zone. Nuba Mountains range is located in Kordofan, western part of Sudan, or you can call western central part of Sudan. This delegation consisted of civil and political, civil society and political leaders. They held discussions. They praised Eritrean role in Sudanese, in solving Sudanese issues. Isaias Afwerki welcomed them. Discussions were held, and they returned. So now, Eritrea-backed Sudanese groups are based in eastern Sudan, Kassala, etc. In Kordofan, Eritrea has connections with groups in western Sudan too. Kordofan can also be called western Sudan. Even in Darfur too, some groups in Darfur, they have been in touch with Eritrean government. That is why I'm saying that Isaias Afwerki is expanding his reach in Sudan. I don't think Ethiopia has this type of connection in Eritrea. What about Chad? What about Egypt? Egypt, bigger country, but when it comes to contacts with armed groups, even Egypt does not have this type of connection inside Sudan. Now, a second story about a threat to Ethiopian sovereignty. General Berhan Jula briefed Ethiopian parliament last week. He briefed the parliament about the threats to Ethiopian sovereignty, about security situation in the country, security situation in the region. General Jula talked about the situation in Somalia. He talked about access to sea issue. Very interesting remarks he passed about Somalia. We know that Somalia and Ethiopia came close to a war last year, but then after Ethiopia signed controversial MOU with Somaliland, but later after election in Somaliland, things changed because new government took office there, and Turkey intervened, and Turkey-Somalia relations improved. Ethiopia froze MOU with Somaliland, which was being opposed by Somalia. Ethiopia-Somalia relations improved a lot, but when Ethiopia and Somalia were at the loggerheads, Somalia invited Egyptian troops to Somalia. Somalia acquired weapon shipments from Egypt. Ethiopia has been opposing the entry of Egyptian forces in Somalia. The Egyptian forces are part of the new peacekeeping mission in Somalia. Egyptian forces are there in Somalia. Jula said in his address to the parliament that in neighboring Somalia, forces have gathered under the guise of cooperation, but they are a threat to Ethiopian sovereignty. Which forces? I think he was definitely talking about the presence of Egyptian military in Somalia. There are other troops too, the troops from other countries in Somalia. There are the troops from Uganda, from Djibouti, from countries like I think troops from Burundi too have been operating in Somalia. But he was definitely referring to the presence of Egyptian troops in Somalia. Are Egyptian troops in Somalia playing any destabilizing role? Are they working against Ethiopian interests? Why did Jula make this claim without sharing any details? What are the troops doing there? I don't think anything has happened recently which could point towards Egyptian moves in Somalia to destabilize Ethiopia. Mere presence of Egyptian troops cannot be described as a threat to Ethiopian sovereignty, especially when the troops are not deployed close to Ethiopian border. Are Egyptian troops involved in any activity against Ethiopia or not? Jula should have shared details. He did not, I think. Then he talked about access to sea, and he made it clear that Ethiopia wants access to sea no matter what happens. There are countries opposing that. Ethiopia tried to have access to sea through Eritrea. It tried to engage Eritrea. Eritrea did not show any response, and Ethiopia still adamant that it will gain access to sea. It's a matter of existence. It's an existential issue for Ethiopia. Jula basically exaggerated threats from abroad. He downplayed internal threats, as if there is no threat from Fano, no threat from Ola, no threat from Tigray. So whatever he's doing in terms of building a military, he is trying to project the power of the country. And secondly, he's saying that since Ethiopia is under threat from Somalia, threat from Eritrea, that is why it's in the best interest of the country to build a 2 million mega army. Is Ethiopia really under threat? Can we say that Egypt planning something against Ethiopia, Eritrea planning something against Ethiopia? Eritrean dispute with Ethiopia is about access to sea. Egyptian issue with Ethiopia is about GERD. Egypt, by just being in Somalia, cannot undermine Ethiopian sovereignty if Ethiopia has good relations with the government of Somalia. If Ethiopia-Somalia relations deteriorate, Definitely. Then Egypt can play a role in undermining Ethiopian sovereignty. Thanks for watching.